maybe it's better to do a few more examples with numbers. So that's why I switched the A to a number. So I want you guys to try this one. I would still use the H definition if I were you. And just as a reminder, our definition is the limit as H goes to 0. We're going to have f of -3 plus H minus f of -3 all divided by H. So when I go to write down what that means f prime of -3 is going to be the limit as H goes to 0. 1 over H times, I'm going to have, oh, you know what, this time, maybe I won't do that fractional thing. So let me write it. Let me write it with the long fraction here. So on the bottom, you're definitely going to have an H. On the top, we're going to have a square root of 1 minus 2 times -3 plus H minus the square root of 1 minus 2 times -3 like this. Now, when I look at this, this looks a little bit messy over here and over here. So I want to simplify what's under the square root first. And then Aaron, I'll get to your question, okay? So we get the limit as H goes to 0. It's got this giant vertical bar here. We have a H. If I simplify what's inside the square root, what are we going to get? We're going to get -1. When I distribute the -2 times -3, that gives me +6. So that'll be, sorry, not -1. It'll be 1 plus 6. And then when I distribute the -2 to the plus H, it's going to be -2H like that. Okay, so it's -1 plus 6 minus 2H. So this is going to give me 7 minus 2H. And then for the second guy, I'm just going to have minus the square root of, it's going to be 1 plus 6. That's going to be 7, square root of 7. So hopefully we all got to this far. Here's where we sort of used our different techniques. So Aaron, I have a question for you. Just say pass if you don't want to answer. But do you want to try factoring, simplifying, multiplying top and bottom by the conjugate, one-sided limits? Which one of these do you think you want to try? Do you have any feeling? 1, 2, 3, or 4? What about the rest of you? Does anyone have any feeling which one of these you want to try? No feeling. I would try this multiplying top and bottom by the conjugate. Conjugate is right, Ken. That's right, Aaron. And the reason why I say that is because I see these square roots here. The square root plus or minus anything, that's usually a clue I want to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate. So let's do that. So you can have a square root of 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2H plus the square root of 7. But whatever you do to the top, you have to do the bottom. 7 minus 2H plus rad 7. And I guess I would make sure I put parentheses around the numerator of the original, just so you remember to distribute everything correctly. As we've discussed multiple times, this is something minus something, and then something plus something. So these two guys are the same, these guys are the same. This numerator is really a difference of 2 squares. So when you simplify this out, you're going to get the limit as h goes to 0. You're going to have 7 minus 2h. Then the outside and the inside are going to cancel each other out. And you're going to get minus 7 when you multiply the last two terms together. Our denominator is still going to be h times the square root of 7 minus 2h plus rad 7. Is there any questions about what's happening or what's happened so far? Any questions? All right, so we can simplify. So what do you guys notice happening? You got a 7 on the top and a minus 7 on the top as well. So in the end, those are going to cancel out. So we're going to have a limit as h goes to 0 of negative 2h up top there. On the bottom, we're going to have h times rad 7 minus 2h plus rad 7. And now we can see that finally I'm able to cancel the h in the bottom. The whole problem is we have a 0 in the denominator that we're trying to resolve this issue. So in this case, I can simply cancel the h's like this. And now the h on the bottom is gone. I can use the direct substitution property. When I plug in a 0 for h, the minus 2h goes to 0. So then what do we get here? We end up with a negative 2 on top. On the bottom, we end up with rad 7 plus rad 7. That's negative 2 over 2 rad 7. The 2's can cancel each other out. So then we get negative 1 over rad 7. And that's our answer. Did anybody have any questions about this problem? No. Do we keep the radical in the denominator for our final question answer? I don't mind if you keep the radical there. Now that you mention it, I wonder if WebAssign will have an issue. So if you wanted to, you could multiply by top and bottom by rad 7. And then if you did that, you would get negative rad 7 over 7. Because rad 7 times rad 7 is 7. So either one works, Lance, for me. I don't care when I grade your quiz. For WebAssign, I don't know if they force you to do the radicalizing the denominator or de-radicalizing the denominator. All right, cool.